morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Hi, I'm OLAYEMI, DUROTOYE, a pediatric consultant, and in conjunction with El Gracia Child Health Foundation of the state, this morning I will be speaking about nutrition in children. I want to crave your indulgence to pay very good attention to what I'm going to be speaking about this morning, as nutrition is very, very important in children, and it's one of the issues where a lot of caregivers get it wrong, and it has a long lasting effect on the children in future. So what is nutrition? Nutrition is the sum total of everything that we take in as food, its use and its effect on our bodies. Today, I'm going to be specific about nutrition in children. It's very important that we get nutrition right in children, because children cannot look for food or make their meals by themselves. Children usually would take whatever their caregivers give to them. So, because this is, nutrition is something that is impressed on the children, not something that they can work out by themselves. It's important for us as caregivers to get it right. Now, before I continue, I want to talk about a concept in pediatrics that we call the first 1,000 days of life and getting our nutrition right in this time. The first 1,000 days of life of a child is from the time of conception till the first 5 years, till the fifth birthday of the child. And this period is very, very important. I can assure you that a 2-year-old is smarter than you are. A 2-year-old is smarter in brain power than many of us as adults. And the reason is because all the function that the brain will subserve in future, and how big and how useful the brain will be, is usually maximally achieved by the age of 2 years. And so, because of this, we need good nutrition to build up good brain power in a child. Going back to the first 1,000 days of life, what a mother eats during pregnancy also has a great role to play in the formation of the child's brain, even when the child is in the womb. So, a mother must have good nutrition during pregnancy, as at this time, she's not only taking care of herself, she's also taking care of the child that is in her womb. That's why they say that pregnant women are eating for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, as the case may be in situations where we have multiple gestation. So, a pregnant woman must have adequate nutrition that is sufficient in providing calories and proteins, a lot of water, vitamins for herself and also for the child, because these form the building block by which all the organs and the systems of the child in utero is formed. So, a pregnant woman, in addition to the supplements that they have to take, folic acid and iron, and particularly folic acid, is important for the formation of the brain and the spinal cord in children, or in a baby that is in utero. That's why women are, advised to take folic acid supplement, and also iron, because iron forms the precursor from which red blood cells are formed in the mother and also in the baby that she's carrying. So a mother must have adequate nutrition so that she has a baby that has all the organs and the systems well formed, and then she prepares herself also for breastfeeding when the child is born. So when a child is born, the first meal to offer to the child is breast milk. Breast milk is the best kind of milk for babies, because breast milk is packed full with nutrients, with antibodies, with proteins, all the nutrients, the fats, the water, everything that the child needs, sufficient to cater for the child in the first 6 months of life. So, breastfeeding immediately after a child is born. The WHO recommends that in the first 30 minutes of a child's life, after the child has bonded with the mother and they are rooming in, the child should be put to breast so that the milk letdown reflex can be activated and the milk can start flowing and lactation also can be successful in the mother. In the antenatal period, the mothers would have been taught about breastfeeding, about positioning the baby, about latching, and how to prime their breast also to ensure a good milk flow. Also, in the postpartum period, the mother still needs to continue to have good nutrition to ensure that she produces good quality breast milk, which will benefit the baby. So, in the first 6 months of life, the baby is breastfed exclusively without the addition of anything at all, not water, not herbs, not drugs, nothing, just breast milk. Because the creator has designed it in such a way that that breast milk contains everything that the child will need. Many mothers will come to complain to me that the milk is not flowing well, or that the baby cries all the time, or and they think that the baby is not full. That may not be the case. Babies don't cry because of food alone. When a baby is crying, you should check, why is this baby always crying? Is it that the diaper is wet? Is it the weather condition? Is it too hot or too cold? Or the baby just needs to be carried? That may be the reason why the baby is crying. It may not just be for food alone, but if the baby is crying for food, put the baby to breast, because the concept of breastfeeding in the first 6 months is breastfeeding on demand. Day, night, morning, afternoon, babies want to breastfeed all the time. And the mother should also prepare herself to be able to, rise up to this challenge of breastfeeding the babies all the time. Um, Also about lactation, I talk about the mother getting adequate nutrition to ensure proper, adequate lactation. So after the first 6 months of life, we assume that the baby has been exclusively breastfed. What do we do? It's very important because um, the point of transition from exclusive breastfeeding to what we call complementary feeds is where a lot of mothers and caregivers get it wrong. And so the nutrition they've already built from the first 6 months of life, they begin to lose it in after 6 months, and then the baby starts to fall ill and come down with all sorts um, of conditions. Now, you may want to ask me, after 6 months, what do I introduce to my baby? What do I introduce to my baby? Now, the baby is coming from a predominantly feed, milk feeds, most of the time the baby is used to the taste and the texture of milk. Now, I see a lot of mothers move from there, they move straight to solids. Most babies will not be able to digest solids properly. And feeding a baby is different from just having a baby with a full tummy. You may have a baby with a tummy filled with food that the body is not able to digest and does not benefit the baby in any way. So you must ensure that the food you are transiting to is easily digestible, is palatable, and is tolerable for the baby. And the baby's body, as young and as fragile as it is able to break it down and derive the essential nutrients from it. So usually we advise the mothers after exclusive breastfeeding to move to a semi-solid diet. A semi-solid diet that is nutrient dense and rich in proteins so that they can continue with the growth and development that is already taking place in the baby. And so, going back a little to breast milk, one very good advantage of breast milk also is that it provides antibodies and builds up the baby's immunity. And so, you don't want to lose all the work that you've done in the first 6 months of life. It also continues to build the brain of the body, the bones, the muscles, every part of the baby's body continues to be built up even after 6 months. So, talking about semi solid diets, we talk about grain based or pap based diets, because pap usually made from carbohydrates, corn, millet, sorghum, guinea corn. Some use barley. Some make the grains can either be made as single grains or they can be made as mixed grains. But What we usually advise mothers to do is that make the single grains first. Make the single grains first. Because I see many mothers rush on, they mix all the grains together, they mix a lot of things together in the pap and they offer it to the baby. Don't forget that this baby has never tasted anything else apart from milk. So that's not the kind of baby to have two or three or four flavors or textures together and then offer them the food. Because some mothers will come back to report that, oh, I made pap, the baby didn't take it. I added this, I added that, the baby didn't take it. I usually counsel them to go gradually. Go gradually. Make one grain, add your follow-on milk to it, or make one grain and add your protein powder, either your groundnut or soya bean powder or fish powder to it. One grain and one protein at a time. So if you're making guinea corn pap, usually whole grain, I don't advise mothers to sieve out the bran from the pap. I just say that you clean the grain very well. Either you get the commercially produced pap or the homemade pap, because what you're going to offer to your child must be something that is affordable and feasible for you to sustain. So I usually say look within your environment, look at your pocket. If you can afford the high-end ones, yes, go ahead. But if you can't, use the locally available ones that are also as nutrient rich as the already ready to eat cereal. Okay, so talking about the pap, you make a single grain without sieving. Just make sure that it is well ground at the millers. Make sure that it is well milled or well blended so that you have a smooth consistency that does not have any sharp or any rough things inside it. And then you add one protein powder per time. You don't need to add three, four things together at the same time. Or just make your plain whole grain pap and add your follow-on milk and offer the baby. So you offer that, you continue your breastfeeding. You may also add in the ready to eat cereal, follow the instructions on the packet, and then you offer to the baby. In addition, with to breastfeeding, I keep saying breastfeeding still continuing while you add on all these other things. So the baby carries on with this. At about 7 to 8 months, you may introduce mashed fish, which is a good source of protein. You may introduce eggs, mashed eggs, potatoes, plantain, all mashed. I'm saying mashed because the baby doesn't have any teeth to chew with, and the baby usually will just roll the food in the mouth before swallowing. So you must make it as soft as possible. And if you're giving fish to a baby, you need to take out your time to remove every bone, or you go for the boneless kind of fish, the kind of fish that does not have these interconnecting bones in them. And then when you're also making your fish powder that is already ground, make sure that there are no bones in the fish. Some people say, which one do I give to my baby? Do I give egg yolk? Do I give egg white? It depends on how you're making the egg. Usually, many people will start with boiled egg. Of course, you have the egg white, you have the egg yolk. I don't advise that you give fried eggs to babies, at 6 months and all. So boiled egg, you offer them the yolk because the yolk is usually softer and it contains a lot of fats in it. The egg white contains mostly protein. So if you mash it up together, you can get a consistency that is smooth enough for the baby to take. Some people even go on to add the eggs and all, they can add it to the pap instead of using their protein powder. So you see, feeding an infant at that age is a game of patience. It's a game of being calm and being consistent. Don't just be thrown off by the fact that I offered this today, my baby didn't take old, so that means this baby is not going to drink pap. No, don't be thrown off by the fact that you offered this cereal today, the baby doesn't want to take it, and then you're thrown off balance. No. If you offer the pap in the morning, baby may not take it. If you offer in the evening, the baby may just take it because babies are very funny. And then people are introducing this concept of baby led weaning or baby led feeding. Let me say baby led feeding because you're still breastfeeding the baby. So when you offer a particular meal, you see the baby is gravitating towards the line of plantains and bananas, you go that way. Then they are going in the line of pap and cereal, you go that way. And then later, maybe around 9 months to 1 year, beans you may introduce. So you have to boil the beans very soft, beans puree, fruit purees also. You get your fruit together. Um, Different type of fruit, any type of fruit, one fruit at a time. You add some milk to it, you give to the baby, you make a puree, you try this fruit, you give it to the baby. Because some people just add like 10 fruits together, they blend it up, they give it to the baby, and they say, oh, my baby doesn't like fruits. No, that's not the way to go about it. The way to go about it is introducing one thing at a time. You watch the baby, because some babies have allergic reactions. So if you have added 10 things together, you won't know which particular thing the baby doesn't like, or is making the baby to have runny stools. So if you go gradual, then you know the baby takes this and this, then you can start adding together and pairing them one after the other. So feeding a baby from 6 months to 1 year is very, very important, so that you can consolidate on the gains. What you have gained in the first 6 months, you can consolidate on it up till the time that the baby is 1 year. Some people go straight to solids. I said it before. Going straight to solids will only make the baby's tummy very big. The baby will not be able to digest those solids at that age, and then it will not benefit them. So you must work out what is nutrient dense and calorie rich for your child, that is affordable and feasible for you, and then you have a good time actually feeding your baby. Babies are not to be given sucrose, that is white sugar. They are also not to be given honey under the age of 2 years. So you can find other things by which you can sweeten the food, make the food more palatable, and then be consistent. Don't be thrown off by the fact that the baby didn't take this. Just carry on with it. And at the end of the day, you have a good result. From age 1, the baby can be gradually introduced to the family diet. And that is from the time that the baby is around getting to 1 year. When you're having your meal, you can allow the baby come join you, because you already see that the baby wants to eat from your plate. So you can allow them join, take 1 or 2 spoons, 1 or 2 morsels, and then usually they will run away after that. But by that, they are introduced to different textures and different flavors in the food. Now, from age 1 to age 5, that's when we talk about having a balanced diet. Now the baby can sit at a table, usually from about 1 year to 2 years. They will usually sit in an high chair, with their apron on, and then they carry on with the feeding. A balanced diet is one that consists of all the different food groups in adequate proportions, that will provide the essential nutrients that the body needs to function well and to build up a strong immunity. The classes of food that are available, all the food that we eat are classified into either carbohydrates, proteins, fats and oil, vitamins and minerals, water, and the water is also one of them, and then the micronutrients. So every food that we eat must consist of each of these food groups in adequate proportions. For children, we advise that the food must have adequate amount of carbohydrates, which will provide the calories, because children are very energetic. They move around, they are very active, they are jumping, they are rolling on the floor, they are playing. So they need their food to be calorie dense, to have enough calories, enough carbohydrates that will provide the calories that they need. Proteins are the building blocks of the body. They are the ones that form the cells, the enzymes, and all the systems that work in the body. So the diet also needs to have adequate protein. Examples of carbohydrates like yam, rice, um, what do we call this? Yam, rice, bread in its different forms, pap, you know, corn. Those are examples of carbohydrates. Proteins, fish, meat, eggs, soya, yes, tofu. Those are examples of proteins. Fats and oils, in the oils, butter, in mayonnaise, and all the things that we take, they contain a lot of fat. The vitamins and minerals are seen mostly in our fruits and our vegetables. And I usually advise mothers, don't let your children grow up without having a fruit and vegetable culture. Instead of making them grow up snacking on already processed foods, biscuits, candy, and sweets, which contain empty calories and are not beneficial to the body in any way. Instead, they are even detrimental. Let your children grow up with a fruit and vegetable culture, because once you introduce them to it and they get used to it from infancy, from their toddler age, there's a carrot, there's a banana, there's an apple around them. They learn not to rely on already packaged food, drinks, and biscuits and candies while they are growing up. So when a child comes to you, mommy, I'm hungry, I need a snack, give them a banana, give them an orange, give them a carrot, give them an apple. Let them grow up snacking on, because children will always snack. When they have breakfast or lunch or dinner, they will outstrip what they have taken because they are very active. And in no time, they're already hungry. So let them have this culture of taking fruits as their snack instead of the already prepared, snacks that are commonly available in the market. So by that, they are able to get a rich source of vitamins and minerals in their food. Then also we talk about water. Drinking water is very, very important. Our body consists mostly of water, about 70%, and water is needed for every system, for all our enzymes, for all the muscles, for the heart, for every part of the body needs water. So a child must also be taught the culture of drinking a lot of water. It helps for them to urinate very well, to prevent against kidney diseases and all sorts of issues in the future. So all these components must be on the plate of a child. Well, so anytime a child wants to eat, you look at the plate. You have carbohydrates, you have proteins, you have um, vitamins and minerals, you have fats and oils, then you have water also to go with it. So, my time is almost up now. I hope I've been able to do some justice to this issue of nutrition in children. There are some problems that usually come up, picky eaters. There are some people who just want to eat one particular kind of food. There are some kind of children who just don't like to eat any. Some people come to me and say, "My child is not eating." Say, "But your child is alive and the child is fine with rosy cheeks. So what do you mean by your child is not eating?" Peradventure, you notice any problem with your child about maybe what they like to eat, when they like to eat, or what they like to eat, or maybe they are not even tolerating the feeds, or they have one issue or the other. I advise you to visit your healthcare provider and lay your complaints at your doorstep. Thank you very much for joining us and for listening to this program. I've been Olayemi Durotoye. Thank you and God bless you.